I'm so nervous. Okay. Hola. Hi. It's been a while since I've posted on here. I have just felt called to put out more advice videos, and this is the start of that. Today's video is going to be some advice to the first-time mom and kind of what I've learned and what I've realized throughout this year and a half being a mom for the first time. It's exciting, it's fun, it's terrifying, it's awful all at the same time. Am I right? So if you yourself are about to be a first-time mom or curious about what it's like to be a first-time mom, need some more advice as a first-time mom, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna share what I have learned in the first year of being a mother. And a lot of these, I had to realize through postpartum depression, and just really struggling with postpartum depression and anxiety just made me have to dig deep and remember a lot of truths in life that I needed to keep reminding myself to get me out of that hole that I was digging for myself with all of these worries and struggles. So a lot of these advice tips are really helpful in preventing and helping in postpartum depression, I feel like, because a lot of these realizations and practices helped me get out of, that kind of darker period. So yeah, let's just dive right in. No need to do all of the theatrics, am I right? First one is kind of random, but it's one of the first things you have to start learning how to do as a mom, and that's feeding your baby. So the first one is what you've heard many times before, and that is fed is best. And if you haven't heard it yet, there you go. Breastfeeding is so fucking hard. And that is something that I was fully unprepared for. I took one class and I thought, I think I got it. No, I did not have it at all. And I struggled a lot with the fact that I couldn't be successful at breastfeeding and had to formula feed for a majority of my daughter's first year of her life. And that is something I used to be kind of ashamed of, but now I'm proud to say that I did what was best for her. And I want to do a whole separate video on my breastfeeding journey and what I would do differently, but I was just so focused on doing the right things. Specifically, I did not want nipple confusion. I was so scared of nipple confusion. I've refused to give my daughter a bottle for the first week, 2 weeks of her life while trying to breastfeed and formula feed. I was killing myself, you guys, trying to work with little tubes to insert through her mouth to mimic the breast. It was too much. It was too much. And as soon as I accepted the fact that as long as she's getting fed, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what, whether it's breast milk or formula and what formula, it doesn't matter. Fed is best. Period. My next point is actually pretty general, and this just goes for everyone in life, but especially when you become a mom, it is so easy to forget that it is really just not that serious. I mean, I understand it is a whole life that you are caring for, and that's very, very scary. There are lots of dangers and things to look out for when you're a first-time mom caring for this new life. But what I mean by it's not that serious is please, please do not worry over every single little thing all of the time. The mom anxiety is so real, and you're constantly worried about your little baby, as you should be. I was bad with little things, guys, obsessing over those very small things that rarely will harm your baby. Your best is enough. There's just so many things that we can control, and there's a lot that we can't. And I think letting go of that control. A lot of moms struggle the first year with sleeping while their baby sleeps because they're so worried about their baby. I remember I couldn't sleep the whole first week my daughter was born because I was so worried that she was just going to stop breathing in her sleep. And I think us all first-time moms totally understand how that feels. It's so scary, but it's so important to remember that your best is enough, and there's only so much you can control. And whatever you can't control, you really have to just give up that faith to the universe. And honestly, the best thing you can do is just pray and intend for good things to happen to you. That's the best thing you can do, and try to prevent bad things from happening. There's nothing more you can do, and you shouldn't harm yourself in the process of constantly worrying about things that can go wrong. You know, that was a big one for me because I struggle a lot with anxiety. So the third one, and this one is a big one, you have to ask for help. And let me say it again to clarify a little bit more for y'all in the back. You have to ask for help, okay? One thing I've noticed, and if you're someone who has a partner in this mission of raising a child, it's super important to remind them, especially if they're male, and I'll explain why in just one second. Everyone around you wants to help, you know, especially your partner. Your partner wants to help so badly, but they just don't know how. Asking for help and where you need the help is so important. One thing I struggled with a lot was having the need to control and make everything so just like up to my standards, you know? It was hard for me to ask for help because I was just gonna do it anyway because it was gonna be done right, you know what I mean? And so another thing that I really had to learn is that your partner, or, you know, the father, or whoever it may be, for me, my husband, they're gonna have their own way of doing things with the baby. Your other caretakers and those around you, they're figuring it out on their own, just like you are. We're all just kind of figuring out how to raise this thing, you know? So your partner is gonna have a different way of doing things, but that doesn't mean it's not done and it's not done properly. It's just done differently. And that's something I've really had to just swallow and accept. Okay, it's not always gonna go my way, but it needs to get done if I want any help, you know? How else am I gonna get help if I need it to be done only my way? You know what I mean? So asking for help is super important, and trusting that their help may look different. I'm gonna have to talk a little bit quieter because my daughter is sleeping and this house is very small. I wrote, sometimes men need direction. It's not that they don't want to help, they just don't know how to. If your partner is a male, I think you can relate to that. A lot of times they want to help, they just don't know how. So sometimes they help in the wrong places, and that's because you really just have to guide them. And for me, I barely even asked for help. So once I asked for help, that's when I really saw a difference. I don't know, I struggled with asking for help. And I feel like moms kind of can relate to that, because we just feel like if it's gonna get done, I gotta do it, you know? But in reality, like, it's just gotta get done. You know, you don't have to be the one to do it necessarily, and you shouldn't have to be the only one to do it, period. For me personally, I found that a lot of the work was initially on me, and it usually is as moms, because you're the one up at nights having to feed the baby and yada yada yada. Over time, it got really, really crippling, and I just couldn't really take it anymore. I was like, this is too much. Like, I'm going crazy. Like, the kid is only my responsibility, and it was just a lot. And what really helped my partner and I kind of even out our kid duties, since he worked all day and I was with the baby all day, we decided to eventually let him take over bedtime. And so he would end up being the one putting the baby to sleep. And that in and of itself, just having him do that, helped me feel like so much weight was lifted off my shoulders. So that might be something to seriously consider with your partnership, to really delegate the jobs. Even though you may have the kid majority of the day and that's your responsibility majority of the week, it shouldn't be completely on you all the time. So it's really important to make sure that you're feeling taken care of and supported through this process as well. You feel me? So this one, actually, surprisingly, you would think that this would be something that would just be common sense, but I feel like it gets lost in the mix. You're not a bitch, okay? You're not a bitch. You're not a terrible mom. You're just tired. You're just tired, boo. The amount of mental breakdowns and just like over dramatized emotional outbursts that I would have at like some odd hour in the night, a good handful at least. I don't do well when I'm not getting consistent sleep. And I think a lot of us don't do well when we're not getting consistent sleep. And in the first year, especially those first handful of months with a newborn, you're not getting much sleep, and the sleep you are getting is not good sleep. So that can drive you a little crazy, okay? And it can make you angry. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. It is perfectly normal to get angry when someone wakes you up from your sleep. Now, controlling those emotional reactions is a whole nother story and a whole nother journey, but give yourself a little bit more grace where grace is due. You're not a terrible mom. You're not a beach, okay? You're just tired. It is what it is. And you got to remind yourself of that and your partner of that, because you're going to take things out on your partner as well. Okay, let's be real. We're human. Moving on. You have to find something outside of the house to do on the regular. Okay, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom. I feel like this caters a lot more towards stay-at-home mom. If you're a working mom, you kind of do have something outside of the house to do. But this is, I guess, to my stay-at-home moms. You need to find something outside of the house to do regularly. Whether it's a hobby, joining a workout group, even a part-time job, okay, whatever it may be, you need to find something outside of the house to do. And this means, away from the kid. Yes, I'm meaning more towards for you only. This is something for you. I didn't have anything. I was in a new city. I had like 1 to 2 friends that were close by, but we didn't see each other very often because, I'm a new mom with a baby. It's hard to delegate that. And so I just found myself constantly at home or back and forth between home and some sort of store, some grocery store of some sort. And I really didn't realize how important it was to have something for myself outside of the house until I got a part-time job. I recently got a part-time job and I only work on the weekends, and just having that time away, putting my energy into something else and also getting like that social aspect of a workplace has tremendously impacted my mental health and just my life in general. Being a stay-at-home mom, I just feel like a normal human being. I'm not just a mom, and I'm in a different place, focusing my energy on something else. And it's not that I don't love focusing my time and energy on my family, but having that time away and having something just for me, it's been wonderful. I can't lie. I love having a part-time job as a stay-at-home mom. If, working isn't for you, if that's not something you need, we needed it financially, but, a hobby, a workout group, something that you can just get out of the house, put your energy into, that's away from the kids. And I think that's kind of just, in and of itself, kind of explains itself. So, next. This one is a simple one. Allow yourself to have gloomy days. I used to feel so guilty when I would have periods of time, maybe a couple days, where I would just want to stay at home inside and just watch TV. Everyone is inclined to have lazy days where they just want to unwind and not do anything. Just because you have this baby or this kid that you feel like you need to occupy and constantly, stimulate and yada yada yada, doesn't mean you can't just have days where you're chill. And I used to feel really guilty for having chill days like that, but now I love my gloomy days. It's just another vibe to have to your week, with your little one, and a different kind of bonding experience for you too, to just be lazy together. We're human, we're allowed to be lazy. So yeah, allow yourself to have gloomy days. First, oh no, she's awake. This one is rip off the band-aid on giving the kid to your grandparents, okay? I used to think before I had a kid that she would be at grandparents' house every weekend after a month old. I was planning on having her with the grandparents all the time, okay? Even as a little newborn, okay? It just didn't work out that way, and it's because your newborn is super attached to you as you are to them. Detaching you from them and them to you is a lot harder than I thought it would be. My girl just hysterical anytime anyone else held her, so I never felt like I could give her over to the grandparents. But what I've learned is that they're always going to want you and have that attachment to you when they're little like that. And even as a toddler, she still kind of, whines a little bit when I leave and have to leave her with someone else. Out of sight, out of mind. They're not going to cry forever. Obviously, when they're really little, it's really hard to see them like that. But the sooner you give them to the grandparents and get them used to being with each other and being independent, the better. because I ended up just like not having any help at all when it came to like babysitters and stuff. It made it really hard to get the childcare that I wanted to have, like my free time, you know, my date nights with my hubby, you know, like that's important. And because I was so reluctant and so just attached, you know, I waited a really long time to let myself do that and let myself give her over to their care. My advice is the sooner the better. My daughter is screaming. Oh, I'm gonna have to go get her. There is no one right way to do things, and a lot of times as a first-time mom, you will hear over and over again how you're supposed to do things, how you're supposed to do something, how you should be doing it. You do you. Seriously, your way is the right way, and you know, as long as your kid's safe, where is there to complain? Like, if your kid's happy and safe, there's no room to complain. There's no room to point fingers. Do it your way, and don't get so focused on doing it this certain way because you feel like you have to. I was really guilty of this, and I did this a lot. I did things a certain way because I felt like you had to do it that way, but that's not the case because everyone's experience is so different, and motherhood is so hard and it's such a struggle. There's no need to make yourself suffer even more through that struggle by trying to push yourself to do things a certain way. And I'll finish it off by saying this: do what you gotta do in that moment to make your life better, to make your quality of life better, you know? So you do you, boo. I have a whiny toddler right here needing my attention, so I need to go. I hope you found these tips, this advice helpful, and I have a lot more just like things that I've learned and would love to share, so follow along. Oh, picking your nose. Ew, cute. Don't keep picking it. Gross. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye. You say bye?